let's dive into the Chargers a little more. So we know what the Chargers have. They have Justin Herbert. In my mind, the second most exciting young quarterback in the league. I think that.
Let me guess.
Who? What's your guess?
I was going to say Josh Allen.
So I think Josh Allen and Mahomes sort of switch off, but I always have Justin Herbert as my number two, because to me, Allen and Mahomes really have like lower points, but Herbert is sort of steady as they come. The one issue that sort of comes to mind with Herbert, because I followed him since that first game when he came in unexpectedly and was like, oh my God, this guy's got a hose. Why was he not as hyped up as I thought he would be? And watching him that full season, every game I was just constantly, my jaw was on the floor. My concern with him, especially last year, was I heard this quote once that it was a scout talking about quarterbacks, and they said, I want my quarterback to either believe in God or believe he is a God. And I look at Herbert, and to me, I worry that maybe there's something missing there in terms of he's really smart, really analytical, but I don't see him as this sort of rah-rah leader of men, almost like the meme version of that is Russell Wilson. So do you believe that he, right now, at this stage of his career, this stage of maturity, could lead this Chargers team to a Super Bowl?
I do believe it, because I played on a bunch of football teams in my life as well, and it just seems like you always have these different roles on the team. You have the guy that's loud, that's going to lead by his words, also his actions, but going to lead by his words. But there's always that silent guy on the team, and he's usually the team's best player, and usually that's the guy that everyone just looks at and follows. And for me, we had a big left tackle. He got a full ride in high school, from high school to go to Montana State, which is a pretty big school because my high school is really small. And he was our best player my whole entire career playing football, and he never really had to say anything to us. We just followed his lead because this guy is our best player. We're going to follow him. So I do think that his leadership style isn't what everyone wants to see out of a quarterback. It's not Joe Burrow. He's not going to go chew someone out on the sideline. But I think that going out there and showing by action and kind of just leading the offense by action can sometimes be just as impactful as chewing a guy out on the sideline. Well, the only thing that concerns me about leadership on the Chargers more than anything is the coaching staff. We have some larger than the coaches players on the roster now, and multiple of them. That is the biggest concern for me, is that they kind of lose control and grip of their own leadership, because Brandon Staley, in year two, after a rough first year, in my opinion, with decision-making, now has to make the right decisions for Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson also, on top of Joey Bosa, Derwin James, Keenan Allen, and Justin Herbert. So when you make wrong decisions then, that can cause problems to me from the players being like, I came from Bill Belichick, and we would never make that mistake there.
So make the case for me right now, quickly. In what world do the Chargers go under their projected 10 win total? What has to happen for them to go under? What has to happen for them to go over?
I can't say out loud what has to happen for them to go under. We know what it is. I won't say it out loud because I don't even want to talk, think, or
no injuries, non-injuries. What has to go wrong from a coaching perspective or a schematic perspective for that to happen? Who doesn't have to emerge?
If there's no injuries, there's nothing that can stop them from going over 10 wins. There's nothing.
I'll make the case then.
Good. And I think we have tough games because we play in the AFC West. But we have like 6 or 7 games that I counted against like teams like the Jaguars, Texans, and like these games that should be gimmies next year, more so than last year. They were already gimmies last year. We dropped a few.
To me, I don't trust their offensive coordinator. That's what I think is the biggest hurdle for me, because I don't think he was really particularly good in his last stop. And last year, I was so ready to buy into this Chargers hype. I'm a Herbert acolyte. I want to believe in this guy. And watching that Chargers offense last year, it was extremely frustrating at times. Just the way they sort of emphasized getting to third and short. Often they needed these high leverage third down plays from Keenan Allen and Herbert to sustain drives. And while that worked certainly well early in the season, as the season progressed, they weren't converting some of these high leverage situations. And my question was why they were just putting themselves there every single time. Like, I understand maybe it's analytics forward, but it was extremely frustrating to watch. So for me, the only world in which they don't go over injury-free is where this coaching staff reveals itself to not be up to the task of maximizing that talented roster.
I disagree. I think they did good on offense last yeere. Herbert had 5,400 yards, 45 touchdowns. We had 2,000-yard receivers, and Austin Eckler, I think, had 700 on like 14 games. He missed a couple of games himself. Everyone was learning the offense, and even Herbert has been into microphones saying, like, this offense was hard to learn. It's the offense they ran underneath Sean Payton when Drew Brees was there for all those years. That offense, Joe Lombardi now, our offensive coordinator, has either been the QB coach or the offensive coordinator in like 8 or 9 of the 13 total 5,000-yard seasons by a quarterback in NFL's history. So Joe Lombardi definitely has experience with putting together an offense that is going to go out and put up points. We scored 40 points in, I think, 6 games last year. It's going to go out there and put up points, put up yards, put up everything. But the clutch moments has always been a problem for the Chargers. The clutch moments was always a problem for the Saints. So I can see a little bit of doubt there. But I think as a totality, a lot of last year's inconsistency on the offense, we had one game where, against the Steelers, we put up 45 points and 30 in the second half. And then the next week struggle against the Vikings defense. I think a lot of it is just the players and everyone trying to get with the flow of the offense, because we want to be in those 3rd and 2 situations versus like 3rd and 10, but we also want to maximize what Herbert can do. And there were so many games last year where the team came out in the 3rd quarter and the whole offense looked completely different. Like they just flipped the switch and now Herbert's unleashed. No leashes for number 10. He's going to be an MVP if you take him off the leash at the beginning of every game.
Yeah. I'm with you. I like I said before, I'm big on Herbert this year. I see this team hitting over their 10 projected win total, and I'm high on the Chargers this year.